Okay, let's get perspective from across the Atlantic on Trump's decision to delay the introduction of those new tariffs on the European Union until July 9th. Our guest says Trump is misjudging both China and Europe. He says the US leader does not see a big picture evolving around his actions. We are joined from a boat in the Atlantic off the coast of France by Bill Blain, founder of Windshift Capital and partner at Shard Capital and author of The Morning Porridge. Bill, great to see you. First off, what boat are you on and why?
Oh, good morning, Andrew. My wife and I have an absolute passion for sailing, and we've had yachts, racing yachts, for years. And the weekend that's just passed in the UK is a bank holiday. So we raced over to the French town of Deauville, which is really pretty in Normandy. And we were all set to come back. We started coming back yesterday, but the storms in the English Channel have got out of control a little bit. So we decided to stop in Le Havre. So today we're moored up in our marina in Le Havre, and I'm busy working from boat. Now, as you can see, it just about works. Yes, it's not the normal office. There aren't Bloomberg screens everywhere, but I've got my laptop in front of me and I am in contact with the markets.
You know, my brief experiences of yachting, I just found it was too much work. It takes too long to put the darn boat away and to take it out, but good for you.
I got it. My wife and I are getting the stage where offshore racing in gales no longer appeals, but it did for many years.
Good for you. You think that President Trump is misjudging Europe? Start off with that. What's your thesis there, Bill?
There's really two things going on here that I think are critical. There's the geopolitical aspects of Trump's tariffs, where we've seen things like the British agree to what really was a cosmetic framework agreement so that Trump could say, hey, look at me, I'm negotiating deals. And then the kind of noise you got around Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent doing this deal with China that he said was rapprochement and was going to reset everything. And then there's the reality, and we saw that very clearly last week when it became clear that rather than Bessent's agreement with China reopening trade and supply chains between the US and China, there is still almost no trans-Pacific trade going on. All the ports show that there's still very little getting loaded onto container ships. And the reason for that is the geopolitics is macro. But businessmen who actually are trying to make profits, they are micro, and they are thinking, hang on, I am not going to invest more time and effort trading my product into the US when I am sure if I'm going to get hit with a tariff in 30 days or 50 days time, or what the next random set of obstacles Trump administration puts in our way. And what they're thinking is, how can I find more reliable markets? And we're certainly seeing that happen with Chinese entrepreneurs who are desperate to sell their products elsewhere. And we're also seeing it in Europe, where there's a mindset change. It's been fascinating to watch Europe change since Trump came into office.
The Chinese obviously do face a threat, though, if they lose a market in the United States or see the market diminished for their manufactured goods, some of which, of course, a lot of them are high tech now. It's not just cheap plastic stuff. Is there a real threat to China here and its export sector?
Well, if you actually take a look at what China's been exporting over the last 10 years, they've actually dramatically reduced the importance of the US economy to their economy. It was at one stage, I think, about 40% of their exports. That's fallen dramatically, at least by half. Unfortunately, I don't have the numbers right in front of me. But let's have a think about what's really going on in China. And I think the DeepSeek moment, the moment that China demonstrated that they'd been able to build their own AI for pennies. Now, there is a lot of chat that they'd pilfered much of the AI and the background work that makes that work. But the fact is, China can make tech, and it can make very good tech. Just take a look what they've done in cars. And the other aspect of China is we shouldn't think about Asia as just China. China is just one of the components of what is a very important market in Asia. Nearly half the world's population live in Southeast Asia. That includes places like India and Pakistan, where, yes, there are problems, but you've also got the emerging economies such as Cambodia and Vietnam, and you have very strongly established economies like Japan and Korea. They all face the same problem. How can we rely on exporting to the US when you have this uncertainty? They're all thinking, where are our future markets going to be? Now, this is where it gets really interesting to my mind. You have Europe facing the same problem and thinking, where are our future markets going to lie? Sitting in the middle between them are the old Silk Roads that connected East and West and the Middle East. Now, I'm seeing some very interesting things going on in Europe now, where people are talking about the Middle Sea economy based around the Mediterranean, where you have Southern Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East importing goods and exporting goods, almost like a conduit between Asia and Europe. And I think that's where the future of the global economy is going to lie.
We better jump. Thanks very much indeed, and safe home, Bill. And I hope very quickly. Do you have time for a nice lunch in Le Havre?
Today we had a fantastic breakfast, and we were so full we couldn't go out for lunch, but we are going out for dinner tonight.
Beautiful.
Normandy is one of the gastronomic capitals of the world. The food here is superb.
Okay, well, take it easy on the cider, though. You're going to need all your faculties.
Bill, yeah, Norman cider is dangerous.
Bill, thanks very much. Bill Blain, founder of Windshift Capital and author of The Morning Porridge. Coming up.